See you in court. Sturgeon threatens legal action if Scottish independence vote rejected. Nicola Sturgeon has demanded Boris Johnson grant her another Scottish independence referendum. Despite Scots voting to leave in 2014, Ms Sturgeon declared a refusal of a second vote would be a hideous disregard for democracy. In 2014, 55% of Scots voted to remain as part of the UK but, despite this, Ms Sturgeon has promised a second referendum if the SNP wins the Holyrood elections next May. She told German publication Die Welt, if the SNP wins the Scottish elections next May, it will also be with the promise that the Scots will be able to vote in a constitutional referendum on independence. It has to be a legally legitimised referendum for Europe and the world to recognise the outcome. So if we win the elections, anything else would be a hideous disregard for our democracy. Not only did Ms Sturgeon state her desire to hold a second vote, but warned the matter may be taken to court if the Prime Minister blocks any vote. Under the 1998 Scotland Act, the Scottish Parliament cannot pass legislation on a referendum. Both Theresa May and the current Prime Minister declined Ms Sturgeon's previous calls for a referendum. Mr Johnson denied the most recent request, stating the 2014 referendum had been a once-in-a-lifetime vote. In the SNP's 2019 manifesto, they made a commitment to hold a second vote if they win the Holyrood election next year. Ms Sturgeon has stated any vote could be held as early as next year, with the party arguing Scotland is being taken out of the EU despite the country voting to remain 62% to 38% in 2016. Asked on whether the matter could be resolved in court, she added, "It's not up to me or Boris Johnson to decide Scotland's future. That is solely a decision of the Scots. Like 2014, that is the precedent. If London refuses to approve, we have to see whether the Scottish Parliament can pass the necessary legislation. This question has not yet arisen in court, but I am not ruling it out. We cannot allow the British government to block democracy. Right now we're seeing what's happening on the other side of the Atlantic. That politicians try their best to stand in the way of democracy. But I am a big believer in democracy, I believe in its power.